Hello friends, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be solving this question. Now, there are different ways this question can be done. I am not going to square both sides. Now, the reason why I will not be squaring both sides is because if I do that, I will end up having a quadratic equation, an equation with a power of 4. And in my opinion, I think it's going to be more difficult if you have a quadratic equation. So here's what I'm going to do instead, without squaring both sides. Now, the first thing I want to do is to look at the necessary conditions for this equation to be valid. Okay, we'll start off by looking at what we have here, this radicand 5 minus x. So for this equation to be valid, it means that this 5 minus x cannot be less than 0. Because if it is less than 0, you end up having a complex number. So it means that 5 minus x would be greater than or equal to 0. Because if it is less than 0, like I said before, you end up having a complex number. So this is the condition that has to be fulfilled. And that's not all. This 5 minus x squared, 5 minus x squared can also not be less than 0. Of course, that makes so much sense because if, let's say, 5 minus x is 0, the square root, as you can see here, of 0 will be what? 0. And if it is the square root, if it is more than 0, let's say you have 0.9, for instance, it cannot be less than 0. So what this means is that 5 minus x squared would also be greater than or equal to 0. Let's write it like so. Okay, let me just take this off. So from here, I'm going to move negative x to the right hand side. I'm going to have 5 greater than or equal to x, and this can be rewritten as what? X is less than or equal to 5. So what about this one here? 5, if you transpose negative x squared to the right hand side, you have it as this. And when you rewrite this first, you have x squared is less than or equal to 5. I want us to solve this further by applying square root to both sides, since we're trying to get the range of values of x that will make this equation to be valid. So here I'm going to square root both sides to get rid of the squared here. So x is what? Less than or equal to plus or minus the square root of 5. So we can rewrite this as what? That x has to range between positive root 5 and negative root 5. Okay, now the square root of 5, let's just keep it somewhere, is what? 2.236, and it keeps going like that. So we'll just have to keep it there like that. When we now get the values of x, we will see the ones that will make the equation valid and do away with the values of x that will not make the equation valid. So to make this equation less complicated, I'm going to say let y be equal to all of this you have on the left hand side, the square root of 5 minus x, the square root of 5 minus x. Now, if I want to get rid of this square root here, I will square both sides. So you have y squared is equal to the square root of what? 5 minus x all squared. So this square will cancel the square root, and you're left with what? Y squared is equal to 5 minus x. So remember, we said let y be equal to the square root of 5 minus x. If you go back to the equation, let's go back there. What do we have? We have what? The square root of what? 5 minus x is equal to 5 minus x squared, which means I can write this as, I can replace this and write y is equal to 5 minus x squared. So look at the second equation we were able to get when we made y to be equal to the square root of 5 minus x. So I'm going to take this equation and then work with it in helping us to get the values of x. So keep this, y is equal to 5 minus x squared. Let's go write it here. Y is equal to 5 minus x squared. Y is equal to 5 minus x squared. So what I will do here is to make 5 the subject of the formula for each of the equations. So let's call this equation 1 and call this equation 2. So I'll start with equation 1. If I leave 5 here, I will have to transpose negative x to the left hand side. And what am I going to have? Y squared plus x is equal to 5. Okay, and the second equation, which is y is equal to 5 minus x squared, I'll move negative x squared to the left hand side. So that will give me what? Y plus x squared is equal to 5. As you can see, 5 is here and 5 is here. So I'm going to make 5 like a common ground for both equations. And I can simply just equate y squared plus x and then y plus x squared, since 5 is common to both of them. So let's write it like so. Y squared plus x is equal to y plus x squared. So what am I going to do next? I'm going to move all these terms to the left hand side. So let's do that. I'm going to have y squared here. If you move x squared to the left hand side, you have negative x squared. So this is plus x. If you move y over, you have what? Negative y, and all is equal to 0. Now, looking at these two terms, what comes to your mind when you see y squared minus x squared? Of course, difference of two squares. So what I'll do here is to write it like this: y minus x, or you can start with y plus x, and then what? Y minus x. What I've just done now is using difference of two squares. So what about this last two terms, x minus y? If I write if I write plus into bracket x minus y is equal to 0. What is this? X minus y. But we don't have x minus y here. We have y minus x here, and we have y plus x. So for me to switch or change the sign of the terms you have in this bracket x minus y, I'll have to bring a minus sign outside the bracket, and then that will help me to change the sign of the terms in the bracket. The reason I'm doing this is to make sure that what I have here matches with one of the brackets, and obviously it's going to match with y minus x. So let's do that right away. I am going to bring in a negative sign. So I'll take this plus off and write minus. If I do that, now if you don't change the sign of x and negative y, there will be issues with this, because if you open up this bracket, you have minus x, minus times minus y is what? Plus y. But this is not what you have here. So you have to also change the signs of the terms you have in the bracket. So I'm not going to have x minus y anymore. I will have what? Y minus x. So let's remove this and write y minus x. So I'll write y minus x. And if you open this bracket, you have negative y. Negative times negative x is what? Positive x. Can you see that? Negative y plus x is the same thing as what? X minus y. So nothing has changed. And as you can see, y minus x is here, is also here. So I'm going to factorize. So I'll write y minus x, and then what do you have? Y plus x, and then y minus x will go into y minus x one time. So you should have what? Negative 1, and all is equal to 0. What does this mean? It means that y minus x is equal to 0. That is using zero product rule. Because the product of this and this right here is equal to 0, it means that one of them is equal to 0, or both of them are equal to 0. So y minus x is equal to 0, or y plus x minus 1 is equal to 0. So here, if you move negative x to the right hand side, you have that y is equal to x, or here you have that what? X is equal to, if you move negative 1 to the right hand side, you have plus 1, and y changes to what? Negative y. So see what you have. Now here, we can rewrite this as what? X is equal to y. Now remember that we said let y be equal to something. So we have to bring back what y was set to. But, or we can say recall what y was set to what? The square root of 5 minus x. So let's bring back this now. I'm going to replace y for the square root of 5 minus x. So starting with this one, x is equal to the square root of what? 5 minus x. You see that? So solving this, to remove this square root, I'll have to square both sides. That cancels the square root. So you have that x squared is equal to 5 minus x. This is already a quadratic equation. So I'm going to move 5 minus x to the left hand side. That will give me what? X squared plus x minus 5 is equal to 0. So I will solve this using the formula method. I'm trying to get the values of x. So here x is equal to what? Using the formula method, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by what? 2a. So if you compare this with the general form of a quadratic equation, it is what? Ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So a is equal to the coefficient of x squared, which is 1, and b is the coefficient of the middle term, which is also 1, and then c is the what? Constant term, which is what? Negative 5. So let's plug in all of these into the equation. And if you do that, x will be equal to negative b is what? 1. So 1 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 1 squared, minus 4 times a is what? 1, and c is what? Negative 5. All divided by 2a, which is 2 times 1. Moving on, I'm going to have that x is equal to minus 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 5 is plus 20. All divided by 2 times 1 here is 2. So here we can write that x is equal to negative 1 plus or minus 1 squared is 1. 1 plus 20 is 21. All divided by 2. So we have that x is equal to what? Negative 1. We can, since this is plus or minus, we can say plus first, the square root of 21, okay, over 2, or negative 1, then we'll go with the minus now, the square root of 21 over 2. Now, to save time, I'll just quickly give you the answer. So here, x is equal to 1.79 approximately, and here, x is equal to what? Negative 2.79. Remember that the range of values of x was actually from this, the square root of 5, and then what? The square root of what? Negative 5. So what is the square root of 5 again? You know, I wrote it approximately. I said the square root of 5 is what? 2.236 dot dot dot. It keeps going like that. So we have to look at these two numbers and see whether it satisfies the range of values of x. Okay, so what is this first one? 1.79. Is it within this range? Yes, it is, because this is 2.236. So 1.179 falls within this range. But what about this other value of x, which is negative 2.79? This right here is already outside the range, because if you want to rewrite it from here, you can say that negative 2.236 less than or equal to x. This is less than or equal to negative 2.236. As you can see, this is negative 2.79 and it's not within this range. So we have to reject this particular value of x and go with this one only. So this one will be rejected. So we can say this is rejected. Rejected because it does not satisfy the condition. So let's go back again to the second equation. You know, we have two equations. See the next one here, which we just worked this one now. X is equal to y. What about this one? X is equal to 1 minus y. Let's come back here. X is equal to 1 minus y. X is equal to 1 minus y. Remember, we said let y be equal to what? The square root of what? 5 minus x. Okay, so I'm going to move this to the left hand side because I want to remove the negative sign. So if you do that, you have to clear off the negative sign, which gives you the square root of 5 minus x, and this is equal to, this is 1 here on the right hand side, 1. If you move x over to the right hand side, you have what? Negative x. So it's time to square both sides of the equation, because I want to get rid of the square root here. So when you square this, you also have to square the right hand side. This square cancels the square root, and you have 5 minus x is equal to 1 minus x all squared. So I'm going to expand what I have here so that I would end up having this 1 minus x and then 1 minus x. Okay, so 5 minus x is equal to 1 times 1 is 1. Don't worry, I just want to work this out. 1 times negative x is negative x. Then negative x times 1 is negative x. And negative x times negative x is positive x squared. So you have that 5 minus x is equal to 1. This is what? Negative 2x. And then plus x squared. So what do I do next now? Move all these terms to the right hand side. The reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want this leading term to be negative. So I have to be creative with the way I move the terms around. So let's move 5 and negative x to the right hand side. You have 0 is equal to, if you move 5 over, you have what? Negative 5, then plus 1. See it here. If you move negative x over to the right hand side, you have what? Positive x, then you have plus x squared. Okay, 0 is equal to negative, okay, negative 5 plus 1 is what? Negative 4. And negative 2x plus x is negative x. Then you have plus x squared. Can you see how neat our equation is now? So I'm going to rewrite this as x squared, negative x, negative 4, all is equal to 0. Again, I'm going to use the formula method. If you compare this again, you have that a is equal to, like we did in the previous case, a is 1, b is what? Negative 1. See it here, because this is minus x. The coefficient here is negative 1. And our constant term is negative 4. See it here. So let's plug everything into the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Beautiful. So x here is equal to negative, what is b? B is what? Negative 1. So I'll write negative 1 here. Then plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a is 1, remember, and c is negative 4. So negative 4. All divided by what? By 2a. So here x is equal to negative times negative 1 is positive 1, then plus or minus the square root of, oh, I didn't change this b squared. B is negative 1. So let's put negative 1 squared. Okay. And then let's times this. Negative 4 here times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is what? Positive 16. So here all divided by what? 2 times a. A is 1. So you have x is equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of, this is negative 1 squared, which is 1. Then 1 plus 16 is 17. So 17 here, all divided by 2. What does this mean? It means that x is equal to 1 plus the square root of 17 over 2, or x is equal to what? 1 minus the square root of 17 over 2. So because of time, I'm going to express this in decimal point. This one is 2.56, and this one is negative 1.56. So which one are we going to reject? Let's go back to the range of values of x that will make the equation valid. So see it here. Remember, the two values of x we got, let me just write it here again. X is equal to 2.56 and x is equal to negative 1.56. So which one is going to be rejected? Is it the two of them, or none of them, or one of them? Let's see. 2.56, is it within this range? No, it's not. It's outside the range. The highest value here is what? 2.236, and 2.56 is already more than 2.236. So this one will be rejected. 2.56 will be rejected. What about the other value? Negative 1.56 is well within this range. As you can see, this is negative 2.236. So we're going to accept negative 1.56 and reject 2.56. So this one here will be rejected. Okay. While we'll go to accept this one here. So let's say x is equal to 1 minus root 17 over 2. And then the other one that we accepted before, let's go back there and check it out. This one here, x is equal to negative 1 plus root 21 over 2. Let's go back and write it there. Negative 1 plus root 21 over 2. So these are the values of x that will satisfy the equation. I hope you enjoyed this video. Kindly subscribe to this channel for more content like this. I will see you in the next one. It's bye for now.